Hey everyone, it's Miss Mac here with another short video, continuing with our third lesson of polynomials, and this is part 2 of multiplying polynomials. We just have one learning objective for this video. Our objective is that we can multiply two polynomials. So in our first video on multiplying polynomials, we focused on multiplying monomials with binomials. And in this video, we are only focusing on multiplying together two binomials. So we will be multiplying two expressions that each have two terms. And our final answer is going to be a trinomial. Before we get started, let's just quickly review the first rule of exponents that we learned, which is that when we multiply powers of the same base, we add the exponents. So that if I have a squared times a to the fourth, this will give me a to the sixth power. We reviewed this in our last video on polynomials, and it's important for us in this video too, so please keep this exponent rule in mind. All right, we're also going to be using the same methods that we used in our first video on multiplying polynomials. This time we're going to expand on the box method. So we'll use that again in order to multiply. It looks similar to the area model that you may have used in previous classes to multiply 2 and 3 digit numbers. We'll also use the distributive property, which we've been using a lot so far in Algebra 1, but this time we're going to be distributing more than once. So we are going to extend our knowledge about the distributive property when we use that method. We'll get started with the box method first. So step 1 of the box method says create a box that has the same number of rows and columns as terms in each of your polynomial. So because I am multiplying a binomial with two terms by another binomial that also has two terms, my box has 2 rows and 2 columns, so that I can take the terms that I have in my parentheses and write them on the side of this box and on the top of this box. So let's go ahead and do that before we start. We have x and 4, and we have 2x and -3. So we made a box that has the same number of columns and rows as the terms in our problem. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and start the multiplication part of this problem. So it says, step 2, multiply each term on the side of the box by each term on the top of the box. So let's go ahead and do that. First, I'm going to multiply x times 2x. So remember, this is actually x to the first power. And this is also x to the first power. And when I multiply powers of the same base, I add my exponents. So 1 plus 1 is 2, and my coefficient is 2. Next, let's do x times -3, and x times -3 is just -3x. Then we'll do 4 times 2x, and 4 times 2x is 8x. And finally, we will multiply 4 times -3, and 4 times -3 is -12. So now we have completed step 2. We've multiplied each of our terms together. So the final step in our box method says to write your final product from the terms inside of your box with exponents ordered from greatest to least. But before I can order my exponents from greatest to least and write my final product, I notice that in the center of my box in the diagonals, I have some like terms. So I know that before my product is done, I will need to combine those. So let's write down all of the terms that we see inside of our box. We have 2x squared, we have a positive 8x, we have a -3x, and we have a -12. Let's go ahead and combine these like terms in the middle. 8 minus 3 is 5, so we have 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. And our exponents are ordered from greatest to least. Here's greatest, here's least. So this is our final product, and we are done. Now that we've seen an example with the box method, let's go ahead and try out the distributive property. So the distributive property says to multiply the first term in your first polynomial, so here's our first polynomial, by all of the terms in your second polynomial. So I'll rewrite our problem right here. Negative 3x plus 1 times x minus 5. So in step 1, I'm going to take the first term, negative 3x, and multiply it by everything in the second parentheses. So I'll draw arrows just to remind myself to multiply by everything in the second parentheses. So I have negative 3x times x plus negative 3x times negative 5. And negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared plus negative 3x times negative 5, and negative times a negative is a positive, so that gives me 15x. Now I'm ready to move on to the second step, which says to multiply the second term in your first polynomial, so that's positive 1, by every term in your second polynomial. So we'll use the distributive property again. We'll do the same thing that we did, but now we'll distribute 1 to x and 1 to negative 5. So I'm going to add a plus sign here and do 1 times x plus 1 times negative 5. And of course, anything times 1 is itself, so we'll say plus 1x or just x, and minus 5 because 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. And just like for our box method, our final step is to write our final product with our exponents ordered from greatest to least. So I noticed that similar to my box method problem, I still have some like terms here in the middle of my problem. So before I write my final product, I'm going to go ahead and combine those together. 15x plus 1x is 16x. And then I'll bring down my negative 3x squared, which doesn't have a like term, and negative 5, which also does not have a like term. And now I have my exponents ordered from greatest to least, so this is my final product. All right, everyone, I hope that video was helpful. If you still have questions, go ahead and watch that video one more time. And if you're really struggling, send Miss Mac an email. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now. Thanks for watching.